After 25 years, welcome to Elbath! Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to One Piece Season 2, Episode 1, also known as Episode 1156. The beginning of the Elbaf arc. It has been 25 years since the Little Garden arc ended, back in 2001. That is wild. And I'm talking about the anime, specifically. We're not talking about, like, the timeline for the manga. We're talking about the timeline for the anime. The Little Garden arc ended in the anime in 2001. Mind you, it was in August. So we're, like, on the other end of the year. But this is something that we have been waiting for forever now. And it hasn't been quite as long for me because I started watching with the 4Kids dub. And, I'm talking about the original Japanese air date. But it's like, it's still been, like, so long, like around 2 decades since we first saw this. A lot of us first saw One Piece with the 4Kids dub. And now, with as many times as I've seen this, and with even the live action just having recently come out and shown Brogy and Dory in live action in Little Garden, and hyping up Elbaf with Usopp and Luffy in that arc. This has been in the waiting for a long time. This is probably one of the most awaited arcs of this series. Like, this has more build-up than Wano. Wano didn't start getting build-up until, like, what? Thriller Bark? So it's like, this has more build-up than even that. We saw Dory and Brogy return during the last arc, helping the Straw Hats escape from Egghead. We've rescued one of the Vegapunks, as well as Bonnie and Kuma. And we are on our way to the Land of the Giants. This is going to be insane. And I want to preface this episode by saying something that I've talked about plenty of times on the channel. I do know some things that are coming because, like, I'm active on social media, and One Piece fans are shit in terms of spoiling things. They are so horrible at spoiling anything that happens in the manga. And I tend to be able to avoid most of it. Most of it I do tend to avoid, But there's certain things that happen that just it's because they're so big or just so well received or whatever that you unfortunately can't help but hear about. It's impossible. If you're on social media, you have any kind of social media presence, and you're like, in anime spaces on social media, you're going to hear about it whether you like it or not. And it sucks. It sucks. People should be better about that kind of thing. But the problem is, manga readers tend to think that everybody reads the manga and don't account for anyone who might be an anime only. They honestly seem to try to ignore the fact that anime onlys exist. And the funny thing is, a lot of times they spoil things before the chapters even come out because of all the leaks and whatnot. Which shouldn't even be happening in the first place. I have a lot of issues with anything that gets leaked. I think, we should be cracking down all over the world on having manga, games, etc. leaking. None of this stuff should be leaking. It's bad. It's really bad. But outside of that, it's just again, people are just so eager to spoil everything. You'll get images of character reveals or a big moment here and there, everywhere on social media, to the point where you literally can't avoid it even by typing in certain words. Because even if you go on Twitter and block certain words, so those posts won't appear, people will just post images without the words. And you don't know until you actually see the image what the image actually is about, and then you're spoiled at that point. So it's it's impossible to avoid everything. But I do tend to avoid most story spoilers, which is the big one for me. It's just usually a few little things here and there, and even then, I never have context for them. So while I do know some things that are coming in this arc, in terms of just visual iconography and stuff, and maybe a certain couple character designs, that's about it. I don't know any big plot details or anything. Because I actively work to stay away from those. But again, it's certain few things, it's just going to be impossible to avoid. I'll give you an example without actually spoiling it myself, because I'm not going to do that to you guys. In the past week, there has been a character reveal in the manga that has blown up social media. Literally, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, everywhere I have seen this. And I've seen it a lot, to the point where, again, no way to avoid it. But there is a character reveal in the manga that happened literally within this last week. Probably just the chapter might not even be released yet at this point. It might be from a leak, but there's a character reveal, and I know what this character looks like, which is a big deal to know what this character looks like. But I won't say anything more than that, because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. I'm just giving an example. But I do also want to state that there's been I guess some news about how this entire thing is going to be now with One Piece, now that it's back. It is going to be seasonal, but it's not going to be every season. It's going to be every other season. I think it's mainly just going to be the spring and the fall every year. There's going to be every April, and I guess every October, there's going to be a new season of One Piece. And yes, I'm going to be an annoying little shit about this and call them season 2, 3, and so on. I'm going to be an annoying little shit. Because I think that this is still wrong. I think this is still a bad, decision. after over 1,100 episodes to change your entire release schedule style. I think it really hurts things. But on top of that, I have heard that apparently the episodes are going to be paced slower than I guess they normally were. They're going to be paced like one or two chapters per episode, which sounds good, but I don't know like how that's going to be in practice, because one of my problems with Egghead was that it felt like it was way too fast. It felt like it just zoomed by, and like they didn't take the time to let anything breathe. It needed to be slowed down. It needed to have more episodes. That was my biggest issue with Egghead. It was way too quick. And I'm worried, because I think I heard that Egghead was paced more similarly to the manga already, which like feels off to me. Because it's like I want slower pacing, because that's better for One Piece. It's better for this series. But it's like, at the same time, I don't want it to just be a one-to-one of the manga. Because, and I've said this before, the anime improved on the manga. And there were certain parts in Wano that literally proved this. There were certain parts in Wano that like were cut out, for example, from One Piece, which is the more manga accurate. It cuts out all the filler and stuff, but there were certain scenes that were completely cut out. And like specific scenes with like Yamato, seeing like the vision of like Roger and Luffy and stuff like that. And it's like those scenes are so instrumental for those moments in the series that it's like, it's infinitely better than the manga ever was. It just is. And even manga fans have agreed with that. With like that specific scene especially. But it's like, the problem is, I don't know if we're going to get those anymore. I don't know if we're going to get those kind of enhanced additional scenes that, better the series. Because I don't know. I'm just worried. I'm just really worried. Because I feel like they're just trying to like make it more, one-to-one with the manga to appeal to this loud group of viewers who are like so pissy about the pacing, even though the pacing isn't an issue. The pacing is better than in the manga. But again, I just feel like it's at a point where I'm just really worried. Especially, again, after how, like, poorly paced Egghead was. It's my biggest worry coming back into this. So, I don't know, like, how this is gonna go. I don't know exactly what to expect with the, with all the shit going down and all, but, yeah. That's just something I wanted to bring up, because I felt like it was kind of important. I felt like it was kind of a big deal. Also, if you're wondering why I'm like constantly like rubbing my neck and shoulder, it's if you haven't been watching any of my other content lately, I a few weeks back tore a muscle, my trapezius muscle, and it's been in the process of healing, but unfortunately over this past weekend I stressed it out quite a bit by doing like a lot more lifting than I probably should have and things like that, and so it's a little it kind of pushed back the healing a little bit. It's actually been really good lately until that. And that was entirely my fault. I didn't need to do all the heavy lifting I did, but it's like, ugh, it's just, it's not even in pain. It's just like this mild, annoying, like, feeling. I don't know how else to put it. It's just annoying. And if I don't, like, massage it every so often, I've been massaging it a lot, I know, but if I don't massage it every so often, it does start to become a genuine bother to me. Hopefully it kind of calms down and we're able to get through this without trouble. But we'll see. We'll see. So just letting you know what that's all about as well. I'm still excited to get into this because I think even if the pacing does get messed up, I don't think it'll like kill it. I think it'll just end up being like disappointing. But it'll still be good. I mean the story will still be the same. It'll just be, poorly paced at this point. But we'll see. We'll see, and we'll hope for the best. So sorry for these long pre-thoughts. For those of you who are watching on YouTube. But I just have a lot to talk about going into this. And so let's check this out and start off this new arc. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts. We'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I can't really say anything about the pacing based on this first episode, like, just in terms of the way it was laid out and in terms of, like, the season as a whole. I just don't have any real thoughts on that right now. The animation definitely looks good. It doesn't have the same stylization that Egghead had. It seems to be kind of going back to more of like a Wano-esque style with just maybe some slightly better coloration, I would say. That would be like kind of my thoughts on that. But yeah, I think it's more akin to like pre-Egghead again. Egghead had a very unique style to it. It was very fluid and very more cartoony than ever. But this seems to be kind of going back to how it was in again Wano, especially the ending parts of Wano, when it when the animation really started taking a bump up. And I don't mind that. I liked Egghead's unique style. But I'm fine with it going back to more of the classic One Piece we know and love. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, the events of this episode was mostly just like getting us back into things. It was setting some things up, and there's really only one big event that occurred. Everything else was basically just like, we're catching back up with what happened on Beehive. We're catching back up with the Straw Hats and everything. And there's really only one big event. Okay, two big events. And that's Barto versus the Bardo Club versus the Red Hair Pirates. And then the ending of the Straw Hat ship going missing and Nami appearing, I presume, at Elbaf. But I don't know how that would occur. How that would end up, how they would have gotten there first suddenly. I don't know. I don't know how the Sunny would have beaten the great Eric to Elbaf. But either way, This was a pretty good start because I actually like that they didn't get to Elbaf, except I guess maybe those who were on the ship. But I also like that, like, we don't like really get anything started yet. I think that's a smart, like, way to kick things off. And again, if this is like based on the first chapter of Elbaf in the manga, um, I don't mind that. I don't mind, like, again, in terms of the pacing, waiting to actually get to things until next time. So yeah, we, like I said, we checked in on Beehive, checked in on Blackbeard, finding everything out, and we get full confirmation that Garp is alive, though it was obvious. It, like, they would never kill off Garp like that. Plus, it was obvious that Kuzan wouldn't be killing Garp anyway. He just wouldn't do that because we know he's not a bad guy, and we know that he, has all that connection to Garp. He's working for Blackbeard for one reason or another. We just don't know what right now. And the entire Bardo Club versus Red Haired Pirates incident was pretty interesting too, because Barto, in his fanaticism for Luffy, did something incredibly stupid, which he ended up admitting was incredibly stupid. He turned against the red-haired pirates. Because he was trying to get this island he was on, to, support Luffy with him and the Bardo Club. He ended up noticing, well, being told that the island belonged already to Shanks. So he got, like, basically pissed off and just burned Shanks's flag. About a month later, Shanks ends up coming to the island, maybe having heard of this somehow, or maybe just having stopped by and, having to confront them at that point. But either way, they confront Barto, have him tied up. Like, it's very clear that obviously Barto would stand no chance against Shanks. And so he's given this choice. It's like, we have this incredibly deadly, horrifying poison. You have to make Straw Hat drink this within the next month if you want us to let you go. I think it was the next month. Something like that. And Bardo's basically like, fuck that, I'm not going to do that to Luffy. And drinks the poison himself right then and there. Though it's soon revealed that it's not a poison, it was a test to check Bardo's loyalty, which Shanks seemed to really, appreciate. So much so that he even did let Bardo go. However, it seems like Yasopp was, I wouldn't say acting against Shanks's order, but making, like, kind of a decision, because it's like, okay, we can't just let him go after that. That, it's like, it was too much, and we have a name and an honor to uphold. And it goes in line with what was said prior, because they were already talking about, like, oh, we can't let this stand. It would tarnish our name. It would tarnish our reputation. So it's like, yeah, Yasopp kind of has a valid point there. As much as you would like to see them just let Bardo go, it's like, I think it's why, like, obviously Shanks let it happen and everything, because I think he even understood that. Yasopp he single shot destroyed the Bardo Club ship. And we know Bardo's going to be fine. Bardo's too, like, big of a character to be taken down like this. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's just not going to happen. It's like thinking that Shanks took down Kid. No, Kid will be back. Law will be back. Blackbeard didn't defeat him for good. We know these characters aren't defeated for good. We know they will be back. And they'll probably ally with Luffy during the final war that we're going to get. We know there's this big war coming. And that's probably where they'll return. We might not see them at all until then, but that's probably where they'll return. I don't know if that war's going to be, like, right after Elbaf or be a little bit more down the line, but yeah, it's definitely coming, like, pretty quickly. And I'm just really interested to see what happens next with, like, more characters we know. Is Shanks going to continue taking out, like, allies to Luffy? Because Kid I would count as an ally, even if it was a temporary alliance. I would still count that. Are we going to see Kid or Shanks and Blackbeard, and maybe even Buggy taking out, like, other allies to Luffy? Because that would be wild. If we just continue to see the other emperors just kind of, like, going after, like, Luffy's friends and allies. That would be pretty wild. But yeah. So that was a big event, because obviously that's a huge deal to see another move from the red-haired pirates. Also, just to see, like, the kind of shit that Shank or that Yasop can do. So that's quite wild. Because we really haven't seen enough of that. I mean, outside of maybe Film Red, but that's not fully canon. So, the events of the series aren't fully canon, I should say, or the movie. But I guess like the skill of the characters within are. But still, it's like we definitely need to see more of Yasop and the other crew members taking action in the series proper, which we're definitely going to, obviously. I'm very curious to see a lot of that and how that goes down. So, this entire thing at the end, I'm still very curious about, like, how their ship just disappeared. Were they taken by something or someone? Because the fact is, again, Nami is dressed up. And unless we're supposed to believe that she did that in her drunken stupor, which I feel is pretty unlikely, that would imply that someone dressed her. Which would imply that someone did take them. But why would someone take them, like, away from the Great Eric? Is it an ally? Is it an enemy? I have no way to know. We didn't get the opening this time. The song that was playing during the credits, I skipped past that, but that might have been the new opening theme. I'm not gonna listen to that though. I'm gonna wait for the actual opening. That's actually the reason why I was skipping past that, just in case. Yeah, this is a very interesting start. It's a very interesting start that doesn't really do too much, which again, I think is good. It gets people back into the swing of things. But I'm very curious to see where this continues to go. So yeah, I'm very hyped. I'm very invested. It's not like the most exciting episode ever or anything. It's not like a game changer type of episode. But at least we're back. And that's probably the best I could hope for in this situation. Just because it's been so long. It's been months and months since we had any One Piece. And yeah, we'll just have to look forward to next time for hopefully things to, like, really start to progress more. But we'll see how it goes. So, yeah. Tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts on the two big events of this are. And as always, no spoilers. Like I said in the pre-thoughts, but I guess for those of you on Patreon who don't watch the pre-thoughts, I said in the pre-thoughts that I do know some things out of context because One Piece fans love to spoil shit, especially just after it's been, leaked and everything. Even before the chapters officially come out, things get spoiled. So, yeah, it's just, there's a few, like, character designs I know about, and there's like some other stuff, but it's again out of context. I'll let you know when something happens that I already know about, or some like character design appears that I've already seen. But I don't know like pretty much any story, like any main story spoilers. It's just things here and there because the One Piece fandom refuses to, you know, be any kind of reasonable about when it comes to spoilers. You just have to post everything on every social media platform. So it sucks, but it is what it is. So, like I said, let me know your thoughts down below with no spoilers, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.